Welcome back to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We're brought to you by Yak Gadget. For all your kayak fishing accessory needs, go to yakgadget.com. Pelican cases, coolers, and lighting. Go to pelican.com. The 153 Bait Company. For all your hard and soft bait needs, go to the 153anglers.com. Now let's get this show started. Welcome back, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, kids of all ages. Jay, I'm used to going, hey, Jay.
I know. Hey,
this is a little different, dude. We haven't done this remote thing in a while.
I know. I had to remember how to do everything. Turn on the computer.
Yeah, no, it's different, man. We're traveling tomorrow, so the show's a day early. But we got some guests on the show tonight, so we wanted to get them on. They got a cool tournament coming up. We got our Paddle and Fin Trail Series Championship this weekend in La Crosse. That's why we'll be on the road. So super looking forward to that. We're going to crown an Angler of the Year as well. So that'll be super cool. Looking forward to seeing all the anglers up there this weekend. What else? Oh, go down in that lower left-hand corner, smash that share button, share this up. Let's get some folks in here. If you guys got any comments or questions throughout the show, feel free to drop them in the chat, and we will get those answered. Jay, you got anything before we get these gentlemen in here?
For sure. Let's get it rolling.
All right, man. Well, we got Rusty Helms and Zach Clift, both from Heroes on the Water. Gentlemen, I apologize if I didn't pronounce your last names the correct way, but we appreciate you guys being here.
Thanks for having us, man. You got my name right.
Did I get yours right, Rusty?
Yes, sir.
2 for 2. Yeah, baby. I like it. Well, guys, why don't you give us a little background on the organization, Heroes on the Water? I know a lot of anglers, especially kayak anglers, are familiar with it, but why don't you give us a little background on how the organization got started, what you guys are all about, and that good stuff.
Okay. So I think I'm going to jump in here because my understanding Zach's going to talk probably a little bit more around the tournament, and then I'll talk a little bit about the organization. So Heroes on the Water started in 2007. It's a nationally recognized nonprofit organization. There's currently 56 chapters across 25 states.
Oh, wow.
And our mission within the organization is to take first responders and veterans kayak fishing. And one of the things about us that I think is unique compared to a lot of other organizations is we encourage family and we encourage close friends, because part of the intent is to introduce people to kayak fishing, and then hopefully they can take that and, enjoy it above and beyond our events and do it in a, life experience. I know it's good for me. I know it's good for my family and my friends. So that's the intent here for the organization. Trying to think. So the organization was founded by Jim Dolan in 2007. Jim Dolan passed away in October of 2019. So, part of what we're here tonight to talk about is the upcoming tournament, which is in honor of him, and it's a fundraiser for the national organization to help keep us going. I think the one thing too about the organization is we provide the kayaks, the fishing gear, and everything at no cost to the veterans or first responders. So depending upon the states that you live in, you may or may not need a fishing license. Some states, I know Texas has, they've got approval where they don't need to have a license for their events, I believe. But for Oklahoma, where I'm at, everybody needs to still have a fishing license.
Very cool. Very cool, man. Well, I know I never got the pleasure of meeting Jim, but I've always heard great stories and things like that. And Like, you guys know what the thought process for him was like? Let's start this organization. What really brought that on for him to start Heroes on the Water?
Yeah, so my understanding is he and some of his buddies were basically, they were taking some veterans kayak fishing, and these veterans were down at Brooks Army Medical Center. I believe one of the individuals had a TBI, a traumatic brain injury, and he stuttered a lot. That was one of the things that he'd been dealing with through his recovery. And my understanding is that after they had spent a couple hours out on the water, he came back and he started having a conversation with everybody. And, 30 seconds, 60 seconds into it, they realized that he was not stuttering at the level that he had been before. And they kind of thought this was an aha moment. And I think at that point, they all looked at each other, and Jim decided that he would take the lead to try to put together stand up a nonprofit organization, and he started the paperwork and things like that to get it going. And since that point, it's grown. So that's my understanding of the background of kind of where it started, was just a bunch of guys going out and fishing and trying to help and introduce others to it. And it turned into something much more.
That's awesome. That is awesome, man. It's a shame, like, our veterans and first responders don't get as much support as they deserve, right? Because they're always there to support us. And, I've seen a lot of these veteran and first responder organizations kind of pop up all over the country. Like you mentioned, 51 chapters, you said, in 26 states.
56 chapters currently in 25 states.
25 states. I mean, that's phenomenal, man. I mean, I know Jay and I both have friends that have served, and some of them need something to kind of release and get back to a somewhat normal life, or just relieve the stresses of being in the battlefield or on the front lines. You know what I mean? And it's huge what it does for some of these guys and gals that need this. You know what I mean? And kudos to you guys because you guys are like a volunteer only organization, right?
Well, yeah. So the chapters at the chapter level, everybody's volunteers. National does have a group of individuals that run the organization from the national level that are paid employees, but from the chapter level, everybody's a volunteer.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and I think one of the neat things too is it's not just, there's a lot about being on the water. I think everybody here, we all kayak fish. And I think, I think about last weekend, I'm out on the water, and as the sun comes up, I'm sitting there, that was probably the best part of it, is watching the sun and seeing the wildlife come apart or come up, wake up, you're seeing everything happen. The other part of it is when the veterans and first responders show up and they start just talking to other veterans or first responders. They're around people like-minded. We have a crazy sense of humor that some people don't get, but veterans and first responders understand that. A lot of it's just the camaraderie and the opportunity to be around other people. So,
absolutely. Well, that's awesome, man. I appreciate you guys and what you do, but let's talk about this memorial tournament coming up in honor of Jim. Where's it at? What's the gist behind it? Cost? Where can guys sign up? All that good stuff.
So that's the great part about the Jim Dolan Memorial Kayak Tournament is it's nationwide. So we have 4 different regions across the country. We have the Western region, the Southern region, the North Central region, and the Northeast region. And then a freshwater and saltwater division in each one of those regions, with the exception of North Central, which obviously doesn't have saltwater. So the tournament was started last year as a fundraiser for the national organization and as kind of a tip of the hat memorial to Jim Dolan, who started all this and got us going on the national level. And like Rusty said, it's just kind of exploded from there with chapters all and not just chapters all over the country, but there's a chapter in the UK.
Awesome.
And I believe there's one more chapter in another country. I don't hold me to that though, but it's all over. It's just great. So the tournament got started last year as a fundraiser for the organization, and this is the second year. So we're hoping to raise as much money as we can for the organization, because like Rusty mentioned, everything that this chapter or this organization does on the chapter level is all volunteer and donation based. That's the huge thing. Is like Rusty said, we don't charge any of the veterans or first responders a single dime to come to any of our events nationwide. So raising money for the organization is huge, and that's kind of why the tournament was started, along with memorializing Jim Dolan as well.
Very cool. So is this? I forget what platform are you guys using? Is it iAngler?
Yeah, we're using the iAngler tournament app, and it's $50 to register for the tournament.
Okay.
So it's $50 for freshwater and $50 for saltwater, and I believe it's been set up some way to where you get, if you enter both of them, you get a bit of a discount and make it a little bit cheaper.
Very cool. So is it for the freshwater side, is it all bass and then saltwater would be redfish or sea trout? Or
so on the freshwater side of it, nationwide, it is just purely bass.
Okay.
And it's black bass. So smallmouth, spotted, and largemouth. Any of those three would count towards the black bass category. Last year we had some crappie and some other species in there, but we kind of wanted to streamline it a little bit more this year. So on the freshwater side, it is just bass.
Yeah, and one thing sorry about that. So one thing to add there is it's a 30-day tournament, and it's your 5 largest or longest black bass over that period. So you can constantly cull if you're catching more. That's a little bit different than the way the saltwater is. Zach will have to talk more about the saltwater, but for the freshwater, it is your 5 best fish or black bass.
And
nice.
Like some of the other tournament apps, the iAngler tournament app culls for you. You don't have to worry about doing that. So you just upload your fish, and then the iAngler app will categorize them into your first, top 5 fish. So you don't have to worry about culling or worrying about, which one was bigger, which one you uploaded already. iAngler takes care of that. It's a great app, in my opinion. I love it. So
cool.
Saltwater side of it, here on the West Coast, we have to do things a little bit different because the West Coast is, huge. So we have rockfish, lingcod, cabezon, and saltwater bass. Those are the 4 categories that we have for saltwater over here.
Okay.
Saltwater bass is spotted bay bass, calico bass, and barred sand bass.
Okay.
So that we had to kind of make it fair across the West Coast, because some of the people up in Northern California or Oregon don't have the spotted bass species, and down in Southern California they don't have some of the bigger lingcod and the rockfish and the cabezon like we have from the central coast of California all the way up north to Washington. And then saltwater for the southern region is flounder, speckled trout, and redfish.
Nice.
Saltwater species for the northeast region, I believe, are the same species with striped bass added in as well.
I was going to say those New England folks might get a little mad if you leave out the stripers.
Right. We did have to add that in there. And saltwater, so freshwater is your top 5 fish. Saltwater, you can log as many fish as you can.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So if you can catch 15 stripers, then you're doing pretty good. We kind of had to do that because of the size differences between some of the fish.
Sure.
From north to south. A guy could catch a monster striper up in the Northeast, and it could be the same size as 4 flounder. Down in the southern area. So we kind of had to do saltwater a little bit differently to even the playing field. So now, if a guy can go out and just whack a bunch of redfish in one day, they can, guy or girl, excuse me, can whack.
I correct myself all the time, man. I correct myself all the time.
It's just natural. But at any point, if somebody can go and whack 20 redfish and log them all, and that equals to what 3 stripers are up north, and I feel we've kind of done our job in leveling the playing field across. Because that's the difficult part, is making it a nationwide tournament that's kind of fair all the way across the board. Even in the bass, on the freshwater side here in California, we have we have the Delta, we have Clear Lake, we have some monster bass areas,
Shasta, like all that
Shasta,
stuff,
like Florida, has the same thing going on. So it's difficult to make it level all the way across the country, but we did our best. Rusty, myself, Laura, Maria, we've all kind of banged our heads together over the last year from the last tournament on how we could improve the tournament. And we're 2 days from the start of the tournament.
That's super cool, man. No, it's always hard. Like, you see that stuff in some of the other tournament series out there. Like, do you separate it by states? Do you separate it by regions? Like, how do you make it fair? Our thing up here where we're at, Illinois guys can't compete with the guys in Florida or Texas or California when it comes to largemouth. Like, it's just like, yeah, take my money. You know what I mean? So it's cool that you guys actually put forth the effort to kind of separate those and make it a level playing field for everybody, for sure.
Yeah, and it definitely makes us feel better about it. Our rules section. If you're used to fishing kayak bass tournaments, that you got to scroll down 150 clicks to get to the bottom of the rules. Rules are long. Ours tend to not be so long, and we're kind of just hoping that people understand that this is a fundraiser tournament.
Yeah.
So it's the rule set is not as serious and as
extensive.
Yeah. I mean, we're definitely going to make sure anglers follow the rules, so they, in that aspect, they're set in stone. But we didn't make nearly as many bass rules or in the saltwater category as you see in other tournament series.
Well, that's cool too, because it allows, like, maybe some guys or gals that just got into kayak fishing that, I've seen it before. They get intimidated by like 20 pages of rules, and you're like, I just like this. I don't even want to deal with this, So it's kind of nice that you guys kind of shortened it up a little bit. And hopefully, like you said, it's a fundraiser event, charity event. It's for a great cause. So, just go out and have fun. Don't make it like you're fishing the Bassmaster Classic and, like this is going to make or break your year. Like I see guys do that sometimes where they're like fishing this event, man. And it's like, dude, it's a charity event. Calm down, man. Just go out and have a good time. Enjoy yourself, and like be grateful that you're helping support a great cause, So that's super cool, though. Super cool. Doesn't matter what you do. You're always going to get that one guy, though, that's like, I want to win this thing. Let's go.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I fish a decent amount of saltwater tournaments.
Okay.
I'm more of a saltwater guy. I always say that bass fishing is a silly endeavor, but really that's just because I'm horrible at it.
Yeah.
So, I fish a lot of saltwater tournaments, and there is that seriousness to it. And I remember last year when we were getting the tournament going, I kind of was adamant about the fact that, hey, the tournament anglers are serious, trying to get people to understand that there are those people who, whether it's a fundraiser or not, are going to take it serious, and like they are on the Bassmaster Classic. It's funny. It's funny to watch from the judges' side, but we enjoy it.
No, for sure. So you mentioned the $50 entry fee. Is that all entry fees are going towards the organization? Are you guys like saving some money for payouts, or are you guys doing like prize sponsors or sponsor prizes for payouts, things like that? Or how's that all work out?
So first through third place in all the different regions and divisions. I guess I should have got Rusty. Do you have any?
Rusty's you threw me through a loop on that one, man.
Right. So
I don't know.
So it's last year it was a Howe branded North Fork spinning or casting rod of the winner's choice, a Howe prize package with lots of like cool Howe swag, shirts, hats, whiskey tumblers, a lot of things like that. And then sponsor donated items also went into the prize package. So it's going to be the same this year. It's not a big money tournament. I keep hoping that one of these years we can get a kayak to give away to the winner.
Okay, right on.
But even that creates
which winner do you give it to? Right.
Logistically, like, okay, we have 7 winners in 4 regions. We can't get 7 kayaks to give away. So how do we make that?
Well, the challenge too, and I think we all know this, the sport's growing across the board, and there's so many different tournaments and so many different series, and there's some really good ones out there. And the manufacturers themselves probably are already giving a lot more than, I shouldn't say they're giving a lot more. They're giving a lot. I don't know how much more they can give, but we know product's hard to get hold of and everything else. So that's a big driver too, is just what's available and how you can ask for help and support without, just bugging everybody all the time.
Sure. I hear that, man. Well, it's just a good event for a fun cause, and
it is.
I know Jay's signing up for that whiskey tumbler you talked about. He's a big whiskey guy.
And if he doesn't win it in the tournament, I believe the whiskey tumblers can be purchased on heroesonthewater.org in our store. Bam!
I will save you the headache, Jay, of fishing, and I'll buy you the whiskey tumbler, bro.
My job here is done.
No, that's super cool. What were you going to say, Jay?
I was going to say, well, thanks.
You're welcome, buddy. You're welcome. It's so odd not being in the same room as you right now. I just got to throw that out there. Like, normally we're in the studio together, and this is just we haven't done this like this in a while. So
I'm not even wearing pants.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Oh, man. I knew that was going to happen.
I thought about, as a, because I'm the coordinator for the Central California chapter. So I try and put somewhat of a filter on the things that I post on my personal Facebook page and social medias. But I was like really contemplating posting on the Facebook page, like, hey, should I wear pants for this podcast? No one's going to know. But I went ahead and passed on that. But I'm glad you brought it up, because maybe I am, and maybe I'm not.
Leave it to Jay. So anything else you guys want to mention about the tournament that's coming up? I know you mentioned September 11th through October 10th, correct?
Correct. Yeah, it's okay. September 11th, starting on September 11th, and it's ending on Jim Dolan's birthday.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is October 10th.
So was it, when you guys set this up, was it intentional to have it end on his birthday or start on September 11th?
I think it was kind of a mix of both. Like we
Okay.
knew that it was going to be a month-long tournament, and then at some point last year when we set it up, we said, well, let's start on September 11th. And then somebody brought up, well, hey, a month later is Jim Dolan's birthday. So I think that's the way that it worked out.
That's cool. That's cool. I like that. October 10th, that's my old man's birthday too. So that's super cool.
And I would highly encourage, aside from the tournament, I would highly encourage any of the viewers to reach out to a local chapter. All of the local chapters are always looking for volunteers. Because, obviously we're a volunteer-based organization and we have to have guides on the water. I know here on the West Coast for the Central California chapter, my rule kind of is, because we do some saltwater events out in open water, that any of the volunteer guides are experienced saltwater, open water anglers. And that's just for safety reasons. But I would highly encourage any of the viewers to reach out to a local chapter, because there is a local chapter somewhere where you're, near you. And just get out and see what the organization, see what these events do. Because, I'm an addict when it comes to kayak fishing. We all are. But the pure stoke and enjoyment that I get out of doing these events is more than I get from personally kayak fishing myself. That's a guarantee. You get a lot out of it personally.
Amen to that, man.
Hey, I wanted to jump in, Brian. I've got the update for the prize pack. So
okay. Yeah.
Should give that out.
I saw you put your mic on mute and you were yelling at somebody like, get me this stat. They put us on the spot. I also wanted to
show Jay.
Oh, there you go.
See? Laser etched and everything.
I mean, I don't know if it's better looking than my cup, but it's
hey, it's what's in it.
That's great.
All right, here goes. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read this off so I don't mess it up. So prizes will be awarded for first, second, and third place, depending on the number of participants. Prize packets are outlined below. So first place, a Howe first place trophy, Tackle Webs backpack, Bandstall Premium Platinum pliers, a Howe hat, and then a Cable Silicone Eyewear retainer. That's for first place. Second place, Howe second place certificate, a 22-can hard body cooler, a Howe hat, and then another silicone eyewear retainer. And then third place is a Howe third place certificate, a Howe hat, and the Cable silicone eye retainer. So that's the prizes.
Nice. Quite a few tasty items in there. I like it. I like using the word tasty, even though you don't taste it. So, sorry.
Well, you never know.
Don't give away my secrets. No, that's super cool, man. You were talking about reaching out to your local chapter. Say you're in an area where there isn't a chapter, but some guys, girls wanted to come together and form a chapter. How would you go about doing that with Heroes on the Water?
So,
go ahead, Rusty.
Yeah. So what I would do is recommend that they reach out, go to our national website, heroesonthewater.org. And from there, there's information for contact info, and you can reach out to the national organization and they'll walk you through the process. We've got an onboarding process for people who are interested in either finding a creating a chapter. Trying to think if there's anything else. That's really it, is reaching out either via the email or via the website.
Okay.
And I believe if they were to email info@heroesonthewater.org, that would land on Camille Null's desk. and I believe she is the one who will walk them through the onboarding process and what's expected.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, I'm pulling up the map here, kind of showing where all your guys' different chapters are. So yeah, like you said, I mean, unless you're living in the Rocky Mountains, there should be quite a few close to wherever you're at across the nation. For those of you listening on the podcast, just go to heroesonthewater.org, and right at the top it says chapters events, and click on that tab, and you'll be able to see a layout of the map. But it's like basically from Nebraska, Kansas east, there's a ton of them, bunch in Texas, and then you get out to Arizona, California, Oregon, Washington, there's a bunch up there as well. So that is super cool. Man, you guys have grown quite a bit.
It's amazing how fast the organization has grown. And I think that speaks to how well the program works and how effective it is actually is how fast the organization has grown. If what we were doing wasn't effective and wasn't truly working and helping our veterans and first responders, I think you would see far less chapters.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Is there like an instance or a story you may have where that just sticks out to you from one of your guys' events that may have just helped somebody so much? Like you know, what's one of these events, like maybe a scenario that sticks out to you the most that you could share that maybe of another veteran or first responder could hear and maybe encourage them to come join an event and get out there?
Well, I have a testimonial that I read, and I don't have it in front of me, that I read for fundraising efforts, and it's I literally I can't read it out loud without getting choked up.
Sure.
But it has to do with one of our participants who was close to suicide and had attempted suicide, and it was unsuccessful, thankfully. And I won't put that person's name out there, but that person is now a part of our chapter leadership team.
That's cool.
And anybody nationwide, I think, if you go on the National Heroes on the Water Facebook page and you search for Jason Austin's story, Jason Austin's story is super powerful. And I think that is a good one to share. Jason is another was very close to trying to end his life, and is now a huge part of how. And actually, I believe his Purple Heart went to the space station last year and was up orbiting space, and now he got it back in this rad frame. That's it's pretty special. Jason's story is pretty special. I'm all the way out here in California. There's a lot of people that I talk to throughout the HOW organization, like Rusty and Laura and Jason, but I haven't met most of them, so that's one of my goals, is to get out and meet a lot more of the chapter leadership teams and hear these stories. I know for our chapter, it's been powerful. It's been very powerful.
Yeah, I've got one example that really, I think, was a pretty strong point and a lot of people can relate to. We had a gentleman show up. He was a lieutenant in the Army, and he had done his time and got out and ended up going through a separation and divorce with his wife, and he had a kid about, I guess he was about 12 years old, maybe 14, a young man, and they were struggling just to talk. He ended up coming to one of our events, and I've known him off and on through here in Tulsa. We have Oklahoma Veterans Alliance. So we have a lot of nonprofits that kind of talk to each other and try to stay in communication so we can help other veterans out when we we hear of an event or something. And I had known him through that. And he ended up coming out with his son, and they went out on the water. They actually went in a tandem kayak. And when he came back, he was like, man, this is unbelievable. He goes, it's the first time that I've been able to get with my son and be away from the TV and the PlayStation and the laptop and all the extra noises and commotions. And he goes, we were out there and we're fishing. And he goes, he starts talking. And he goes, we had the best conversation that we've had since I deployed. I've never been able to have that one-on-one time with him, and I never thought it was so simple, but they were able to really reconnect. And I can tell you, I've seen a change in their lives from that. And I'm not saying this was the sole thing, but I definitely think it was a starting point for them. And they were able to reconnect and at least talk about some things and then go from there. So it's simple, but it was effective, and it's just something that happens. And I think, that's an important thing to share, that you don't always know how people are going to respond or how it's going to impact their lives. But, it's kayak fishing, being out on the water is something that impacts a lot of different people in different ways, and it's positive. So hopefully that helps.
Amen to that, man. Amen to that.
And I think, the organization and the program is the catalyst for a lot of healing. And like Rusty said, you don't know that just that one event was what made their life change happen, but it was probably the catalyst that helped it, move along. And that's great. And that is another, it's not just veterans and first responders. We also invite out their families, also free of charge,
That's huge. Because
when our service members are deployed, so are their families. They're just in a different way, So it's huge for the families to come out. We have a veteran who's been coming out for our last few events named Philip, who's been bringing out his son, Gabriel, the last couple events. And Gabriel has outfished his dad, I believe, the last 2 trips. And it's great because Gabriel,
awesome.
He's a big kid. He's like 18 or 19, but he's tall. He's a big boy. And it's funny to watch Gabe, ruffle his dad's feathers a little bit about outfishing him. It's cool to watch.
I love that.
That for our chapter now, Philip, the father is he's on the hunt for his own kayak, and for us, that's the goal. That is my personal goal, is to turn our participants into kayak anglers, because I know deep down in my heart that the program and the organization works and it helps. So if we can turn them into kayak anglers and they can heal like this all the time, anytime they want to, then we win.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. That is awesome, man. I love that. That is a great message. I love harassing my old man when I'm on the water, so I can only picture what that young man was doing. That's great
and
stuff.
A couple events ago, we have halibut out here, California halibut, not like the jumbos in Alaska, but we have California halibut, very similar to your flounder or anything you get in the South. But we fished an event in a harbor, and we were targeting halibut, and the only legal halibut that was caught by this kid Gabriel. And
that's cool.
Let me tell you, it was awesome to watch. Awesome. And the stoke that his dad had from watching that happen and watching his son hold up this halibut, and it was just awesome, because that's right now in the summertime, especially that's what a lot of the saltwater kayak anglers are going after, is halibut.
Sure.
So to see that happen and go down, it was just epic.
Well, that's cool, man. It's helping making memories for those families, like you said, reconnecting. I can only imagine, man, like, being out in another country in a battlefield and then coming home and trying to be normal again and trying to relate to your family that you haven't seen and things like that, man. Like that's what I always picture when, we talk about these types of things, and it, kind of gets me a little emotional. Like I couldn't even imagine some of the things that these guys have gone through. And, it's pretty incredible that you guys figured out, Jim figured out, and some of the other guys like that started the organization, like, hey man, this can help heal, and bring families back together and make positive memories instead of negative ones. So it's pretty incredible, man. It's pretty incredible. I'm kind of at a loss for words.
And that's a big thank you that I have to Jim Dolan and Sally Dolan, his wife, who was just as instrumental as Jim was. Because I'm out here in California. I never met Jim. He came out for a visit before I was the chapter coordinator, but is to thank them for starting this organization, because for me, I'm not a veteran, but I get a lot out of this personally, and it helps me deal with the things that I have going on just as much as I think it helps our veterans.
Yeah.
So that's a huge. If I ever get to meet Sally, and one day I will, I'll make it out her way. I'll give her a big hug and thank her for helping Jim get this whole thing going.
Awesome. Gentlemen, I mean, God, I'm just kind of frazzled a little bit, but anything else you guys want to touch on, mention, talk about other events you guys got coming up in the year, any of that good stuff before we start winding down here?
Hey, I'll say one thing I was thinking about when everybody was talking was being a volunteer in the organization. It's not always easy. There's a lot of hard work behind the scenes. I think the thing that makes it easier for me, and the reason why I looked at how when I first started looking where I could help veterans and first responders, was I had a passion for fishing, and I loved kayak fishing. So doing something to help others that you love to do, it makes it a lot easier. So for everybody that's watching this that likes to kayak fish, I'm not going to tell you it's easy. There's days where it's hard. It's hard. You're tired. It's hot. It's 100 degrees. The humidity's there. But the impact that you give to other people's lives is so much. And it makes it that much easier when you go, man, I get to go fish too, or I get to go introduce somebody else to fish. Because we've all been there when your buddy catches a fish or you catch something, and everybody, it's exciting. So I would tell you, if you're looking for some way to help other people and you don't really know what you want to do, but you love to kayak fish or to fish, take a look at Heroes on the Water. It may not be for you, but I would tell you that it's a lot easier to volunteer for something that you have a passion about as your own self. So just something to think about. I also want to say thank you to you guys for hosting us. This is awesome.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
Appreciate
Anytime.
the support. If you guys will send me your email, or not your email, if you guys will send me your mailing addresses when you get a chance, I'll try to get you a couple of these glasses too.
There you go, Jay. See, I told you I'd get you a glass. Oh, that's great. No, we appreciate you, man. Like we said before the show started, what you guys do is pretty awesome. And, like I said before too, like we've talked to a few different veterans organizations, right? And there's no one is better than the other. You guys are all doing great things for an amazing cause. And we've always told, these veterans and first responder organizations, like, if there is any way we can help spread the word for you guys, get the word out, man. Like, our door is always open, even if it's just, hey, we got an announcement on this coming up. Like, I give you guys all the credit in the world for doing what you guys do. Like you said, Rusty, it's not easy. But the work you put into it, the reward is there, which is key, and that's a great takeaway. So, Zach, any final thoughts, words, things you want to put out there, my friend?
Well, like Rusty said, thanks for having us. And like Rusty said, if anybody's interested in helping out at a local chapter, reach out, because you will get a feeling from doing this. Like, for me, it's like nothing else I've ever volunteered for or done. I always say that 30 years from now, I'm going to look back on the work that I did with Howe, and it's going to be something that I'm extremely proud of. Reach out and see if it's for you. Like, it is a lot of work, especially running a chapter, being a coordinator of a chapter, being the secretary or treasurer or any part of the leadership team. It is a lot of work. Rusty's right. There is a lot that goes in behind the scenes to make these events happen, and make the whole organization run. The national leadership team is absolutely awesome, and I think they don't get enough credit, get the credit that they should. But reach out, and if you can, donate. There's a donate tab on the website. You can donate to individual chapters, but if you hit the donate tab, you can donate $1 or $1,000, because like I said before, we are a donation-based organization, and everything we do comes from donations from individuals and businesses. So
very cool.
Thanks for having us. And Heroes on the Water is, and I'm slightly biased because I'm a leadership team member, but Heroes on the Water is a great organization, and I thought that before I was a part of the team, when I was just volunteering as a guide.
Very cool.
So thanks for having us, and reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. I just dropped the link to the iAngler registration for the tournament, the Jim Dolan Memorial Tournament. You guys can get signed up. If you guys are listening on the podcast platforms after the live show, I will also include that link in the show notes, so that way you guys can just click it and it'll take you right there. Get signed up and just help out a great cause. Mr. Randall, final thoughts?
I got like nothing. I didn't want to get in the way of anything that was said today. So, no, it's awesome. You guys are doing great things, man. I've worked with Heroes on the Water in the past too. So, I know, what you guys are doing is important. And then, there's a lot of people out there that just don't know how to deal with the things they got going on inside their head, and being on the kayak is, it's, or just being in nature in general is just like one of the best kind of therapeutic delivery systems you could ever have, that a lot of people just kind of get away from these days, with our electronic world. There's still a lot to be had, out there, on the water, in a field, top of a mountain, anywhere you can get out, winter, fall, spring. Get out there and clear your head, man. Try to, ground yourself. So, I mean, I see it, but you guys are doing great things, man. I really, I'm proud of you guys.
Yeah. Amen to that.
One thing I would like to add is, even though the tournament starts on the 11th, registration is open until the end of September.
Oh, okay,
so
cool.
We understand that paydays fall and, where they may. Registration's open till the end of September. If somebody can't get signed up by the tournament, and a month long, if you miss a week of this tournament, you have plenty of time to get caught up.
Like I always say, it takes 5 minutes to catch 5 good fish and win it all. So, I mean, not that I've done that before, but I've seen it done before.
It's possible, though.
I'm still trying to learn how to do that, but it can be done. It can be done. No, it's great, man. Like Jay touched on, man. It's, me and Jay have had that conversation numerous times. Like, we both had a rough past year, you know, and getting out on the kayak just, you know, helps clear your mind, no matter if you're just not catching fish, just sitting there and listening to the water and just looking at the sights, man. It definitely helps. And I encourage any veterans or first responders out there, man. I know times are tough sometimes. Reach out to any of these guys and heroes on the water. Myself, Jay, a friend, a family member, you know, talk to somebody. There's good folks out there that'll help you get through some of those tough times. So, you know, this weekend is September 11th. So in remembrance of all those lost on September 11th in this crazy war that was started because of it, thoughts and prayers out to those families as we come up to this Remembrance Day. With that being said, guys and girls, we will see you next week on Thursday, normal time, and we'll have another great show for you guys. We'll be talking to the folks from Monster Bass. So we will catch you guys on the next one. Tight lines, smooth paddle.